Good evening. I thought tonight, maybe first we do for a few minutes, meditation, and then after that I will give some explanation on meditation teaching. When you go to study, practice of meditation in ancient tradition, so when you approach the teacher says, which is more important, body or the mind? First go and discover that and do that for like a week. And then after a week, the conclusion you get in your mind, then tell me. So then of course you go and you will say, yeah, body is very important because so much we know, we relate with our body sensation, five sense pleasure, which basically dominates our whole day-to-day life. It's a five sense pleasure. Everyone looks for five sense pleasure. In the eyes, beauty, in the ears, music that we like, and we dislike something derogatory words, but we like something praise or some music or something you like to hear. And since everyone is looking for happiness, you like all the good things to happen, including in your appearance, in your eyes, the sense pleasure of beauty, and in your ears, the sense pleasure of music, in your nose, the sense pleasure of the smell, in your mouth, the sense pleasure of the taste, in your body, the sense pleasure of good feeling, and in your mind, a sense pleasure of happiness. So once you get that, you're pretty much a happy human being. So you think, oh, therefore the body is more important. Then you think further. If the body is, then what about the mind? Now you realize, besides your mind, who is there to experience all the five sense pleasure? So therefore, maybe the mind is more important. So you go between the body and mind, try to figure out which is more important. And then you say, where is the mind now? If the mind is important, how is the mind? So you go through that whole cycle of introspection. What is mind? But finally you basically come to a conclusion that mind is the source of all our experience. An individual experience of phenomena is on their mind. Beside their mind, there is no other to experience whatever the experience takes in your mind, in your life. So pretty much, you understand that mind is actually the most important. Between a mental pain and a physical pain, mental pain is much more severe. Physical pain is severe, but not as severe as mental pain. Psychological problems are much more deeper and more painful than having a burnt finger, for example. Of course, burnt finger is also painful, but mental pain, depression, and many other things, sadness, depression, loneliness, those are far more deeper and far more painful. So then we try to not just humans, but as long as there's a sentient, a mind who possesses a consciousness, that we all look for happiness, that we all look for liberation, freedom. That's the very natural, deep feeling of all sentient beings. So, and that is completely equal, right, without any discrimination. whether one is a human or not, whether one is man, woman, race, born in Africa, born in America, born in Europe, born in Asia, our different, each particular person's their ethnic attachment, whatever they belongs to, they think basically as far as when it comes to achieving and wanting happiness, we are all equal. No one is any exception from that. And everyone has the right for liberation and happiness without exception, without any kind of discrimination. To the point we would say, yes, I'm smarter, so therefore I deserve a little bit more happiness than you, because you're less smarter than me. It doesn't work that way. We all want equal happiness, whether we are smart or whether we're not so smart. So then in our day-to-day, even we want happiness and peace and calm, but that's not happening. We go through lots of experience in our life which are conflicting. So we need to analyze that, check why that is happening. You want happiness, but you end up with a lot of other things than happiness: sadness, depression, loneliness. And probably we can say all those things happening because we are so self-centered, self-absorbed into ourselves. Our mind definitely not open. Because when you feel very limited, when you feel self-absorbed, then the direct experience is sadness and depression and loneliness. In relationship to when you have a big heart, you want to share something, you want to bring people into your life, engagement, that's where you bring other people into your life with a positive attitude. Then you begin to feel the sense of celebration, friendship, love, affection, caring. In opposite to the ego, very self-absorbed mind, which doesn't have those qualities to experience. We can say it's nothing magical or nothing mystical, but it's a very direct experience to how the mind works. I think we need to know how the mind works, basically. To sum it up, is a question of how I want to feel. And how you want to feel depends how you think, basically. If you think in that very self-centered way, you may expect friendship, but I don't think you will ever have friendship. And that probably, even in a friendship like that, would be a forced friendship, which is not a friendship. And pretty soon people started to leave you and you remain a lonely person. That's the negative quality of self-centered ego, mind. So one thing in the Mahayana practice of Buddhism, Buddhist teaching, the way to relate with your mind, first thing, is to have open mind. And how do we do that? How do we do open mind? We see that all beings want to achieve happiness. Just like me, I want to achieve happiness. They're same, no difference. No one is exception from that feeling and from achieving that. period. And different methods are brought into to develop the mind, where you try to reach out, bring them into yourself. To do that, one of the first things in the Buddhist teaching, it says that you need to see every being like your mother, like your parents. And how come? Well, the other person is not my mother. I know my mother. We may have that question. What it says that you need to think, if you think the gratitude that your mother has given to you, and then you, such as the Bodhisattva practice of Tonglen, and such as, or example of yourself, I don't want suffering, I want happiness, the others is same. When you have the deep notion felt, you need to meditate, then you have no negative thoughts or aggression towards others. And the reason why the mother example is because your mother is the most powerful person in your life. Of course, father too, but the mother more important, because she holds you 9 months in her body, and she gives the birth to you, and she goes through many sleepless nights for you. And you know, we have seen how mothers, you know, they go through for you to bring up. You're sitting here today strong and healthy and well because of your mother's tremendous affection. So when you feel that gratitude, and then we have seen, we have not really reciprocated, sorry, how do you say, not given what I receive back to my mother, back to my parents. Then when you first do this practice to yourself, with your mother, then your father, then people who love you, gradually you see every being is just the same in wanting happiness, but they all get trapped in the ego mind, and they lost their vision to their basic goodness, basic sanity. So then you begin to be more open. In fact, every conflicting situation becoming, when it comes to you, it's the circumstance which is negative, challenging day-to-day life situation, become all possibility or inspiration to healing or to genuine communication. The harder you face the difficult situation, the more powerful you're able to transmute that, because now you are genuine. It's nothing magical. You're genuine, seeing the others wish to be free of suffering and want it to be connected to the happiness is same. So therefore you see something very deep in other people, and then you see within yourself you want the same thing. Then you begin to see the causes for those which is preventing you from achieving that is your afflictive emotions. Starting from the root cause, ignorance. When we say ignorance, doesn't mean like nothingness or you don't think about anything. That'll be the easy thing. If that is ignorance, no problem. We say ignorance is bliss. I think we're only referring to ignorance is bliss on that level. But ignorance doesn't just remain on that level. That's the problem. Ignorance makes you think in a certain way that which messed up your whole ideas about everything, including the notion of self, ego, including the notion of fixation, including the notion of all our afflictive emotion, arises out of that ignorance. The sense of, now then you further go deeper. Then how does ignorance function? Well, you can see ignorance, of course, is not in the body. Ignorance has to be in the mind because it's a mental thing. When you see something right, it's the mind. When you see something wrong, it's the mind. You can't blame anything beside the mind. So when you see something, then you see mind has a stream. Mind is a continuum. It's like a river flow. That continuum, that mind continuum has awareness, an intelligence, a basic intelligence, which is knowing. That knowing can go either way. It can go the right way, it can go the wrong way, and it can also go in a neutral way. So since the mind has awareness in basic intelligence, the intelligence has a possibility to get misconstrued, or intelligence has a possibility to go in its natural flow. So when the intelligence go in its natural flow, then the awareness of compassion, wisdom, openness, love, affection, and tremendous creativity, skillful means, in general, skillful means. Compassion means skillful means, that's what it means. Compassion just does, I think one has to understand the meaning of compassion. Compassion can take so many forms because now it is skillful mean how to deal with yourself, with your thoughts, with your emotion, and how to deal with others' thoughts and emotion. It naturally has a quality that basic intelligence can free itself. That is a wisdom mind, what we call. Now their minds flip around and become self, ego, already problem starts. Then it brings all kinds of afflictive emotion, anger, jealousy, hatred, envy, you name it. All the rest of, it says 84,000 passions and neuroses. Actually, there's limitless passions and neuroses because there is no end what the mind will think and there is no end what the mind will not think. All kinds of projection thoughts will arise out of the mind. It's just like you are lost. Your body is here, but your mind is constantly out of you. And you have no sense of how to bring that to a grounding. If you have to get your mind, you need to bring it. That's the practice of meditation. Bring it here and now, as it says. So once the minds get confused, it loses its perspective, how it should be. It loses its perspective, its natural flow. So again, in the practice of meditation, you're learning how to bring its natural flow and its right perspective. That is what you do in the practice of meditation. Secondly, how to bring the mind to your understanding is motivation, which earlier we addressed a little bit, how you try to see everyone as your kind mother being. You're connected. Motivation is extremely important because your sensorial pleasure, which most 99% of population of humans and 99% of beings in the universe, creatures, animals, everyone only seek a sensorial pleasure. They do not know to go beyond. Only 1% looks deeper further. 99% only know this body and is how to satisfy that. Yes, you can entertain yourself with a book, you can entertain with this idea, that idea, but those are all, conditioned phenomena that you are satisfying or trying to fulfill. The problem is with condition is impermanence. Condition will decay. No condition ever remains the same. So you write one book, there's always another book which will criticize that view. Or, say something, and then, at some point you want to move forward. That view or that philosophy has become now no more useful to your satisfaction or whatever. Conditions constantly have a change. So therefore, now, to go deeper to the mind, first of all, we need the right situation or right condition. Even the conditions of impermanence, such as our life. We know we're going to die. It's conditioned. We all know we cannot live forever. Unconditioned can live forever. Every condition has to decay. So, but we also know that things can change. Your mind have different emotion and different feeling yesterday, but you still exist today. It's not that with your emotion changing, you disappeared. You're still here today. Whether you went through whatever the experience yesterday, so there's a mental continuum. So in order to have the mental continuum in the right place, in the right perspective, I think the only way you can understand is through meditation. There's no other method which can let you understand your mind flow, natural flow, and the perspective in the right way. And you have to sit a lot to understand your mind, because you have already built up so much conditions, so many habits built up, that it's like eating an artichoke. The essence of the artichoke is very deep inside. You've got to peel this thing, peel that thing, peel. If you try to eat outside, it's going to make injury in your mouth. But it takes a while to get deeper into that essence. Same thing, you build up so many habits, so many piles and piles of habit. Day and night you're accumulating habit. So that mind, mind loses its primordial, in a way, primordial or fundamental perspective. So you are influenced by this idea, that idea, but you are like a kite, paper kite. Wherever the wind flows, it will flow that way. If the wind flows this way, it goes this way, that way. And because you're influenced by all those habits. So now, meditation practice, and then the other is motivation practice, which are the loss of mind training practice in the Mahayana teaching, such as the Jamgon Kongtrul Rinpoche has 7 points of mind training. And there are various methods in practice how to have the right motivation which can create the right condition so that you could finally find liberation through this condition. So that perspective is there. But so therefore you can't have negative mind and expect happiness. You need to change your mind towards caring and kindness and stepping out of the ego's world if you want even a simple happiness. Let's not talk of profound, deeper happiness. Even a simple happiness will require that kind of mindset, openness, openness and mind training. A lot of mind training. Bodhisattva path is all about mind training. The 6 paramita, 4 immeasurable, the meditation, so much involved how a person can free oneself from this chain and from the habit of that condition, and seeing finally one can see one's unconditioned mind. Is there an unconditioned mind? Yes, there is unconditioned mind. And we can see through that, understand that unconditioned mind through the teaching of middle path. In the Sanskrit it's called Madhyamika, or To put it simply in one word, through the teaching of dependent arising, dependent origination, one can clearly see there's an unconditioned mind. So, anyway, the whole point, now again, to make it simple, we all want happiness, very simple. We all want to have peaceful mind. We all want to awaken mind. We all want a right perspective and natural flow. That basic intelligence, natural flow doesn't become a trap. Because who created the trap is a confused mind. And the answer is also in the mind to untrap that. If the mind has created a bind, it can be unwind by the mind itself, nothing else. And who can do it? You alone can do to unwind your mind. Nobody else can do that for you. You can't hire someone to do meditation for you. See, you do meditation and I pay you and I let me, that's not going to work. It has never worked. And it's never going to work. You need to do it yourself. And you have to start by opening your heart, by bringing the right attitude at the beginning, and then you need to sit. So now, the method of meditation, when you sit, how do you unwind your mind? Not by making more complex thoughts and making knots. Knots mean conceptualization. You see all thoughts, like a flow of the river. There's another example between a natural mind and an unnatural mind. Unnatural mind here would be our confusion and wrong perspective, and natural mind would be the right perspective and how it should be. It's the example of water and ice. This very source of the ice is the water. Water is very natural, very cooling, very soothing, a lot of benefit. And when you drink, it goes gently into your body. Quench your thirst, give you a lot of health benefit. But the water become unnatural, it is ice. So if you try to swallow ice, you will be dead. But its nature is very open and fluid. But now it has become trapped energy. Same thing with the mind. Trapped thoughts and intelligence become neurosis. That's what neurosis is. There's no other neurosis. There's no such demon or some outside coming and attacking us. We blame that, oh, it's not me, it's that, maybe demon is letting me do that. But it is, the real demon is, a confusion is the real demon. And that demon is, the wrong perspective, how you trap your basic flow of primordial energy, and then it become trapped and become ego as well as afflictive emotions. That's what you need to work. Once you work with that, then the natural flow of primordial energy, that will come back to you. And when that comes back to you, you feel peace, you feel joy, you feel openness, and you transcend fear. Now here we can see, in order for the ego to survive, fear plays a very big role. Without fear, ego cannot survive. Fear is the main intelligence, a confused intelligence, which keeps the hold of the ego. Because the fear makes you hold on to something which you don't know about, actually. Nobody knows about ego. Well, we feel ego. But ego is something natural. It is inherent quality. The more further the ego you look deeper, the more comfortable and more valid and more clear it will become. In fact, it should become tremendous joyful, the more ego you feel. That is not the case. The more people get into egoism, the more there is pain and more conflicting. And finally, you end up losing friends. And finally, those who get extreme of that ego, the people kill themselves. Shows that ego is not really something inherent quality of you, but it's anything which is not inherent quality makes you feel uncomfortable in your mind, basically. There's a conflicting notion. You get confused about that. It doesn't fit. I remember O.J. Simpson, lawyer, said about the glove, if it fits, that's what. So, you see, he said that if it fits, whatever. If the ego really is part of our nature, then we should feel very comfortable with that. Since ego is not part of us, it is rejecting. It's like you are having somebody else's liver or kidney, and it's hard to maintain that. It's rejecting, like that. So there's a constant message. Even the person who is self-absorbed, he or she doesn't feel happy, deep inside, very disturbed. Let's not talk about people around them. So therefore, ego is a wrong notion, built on ignorance, and have no idea. One just go with that flow. And it's so powerful that it brings every other intelligence which comes. It becomes like source of suffering. So therefore, afflictive emotion become the very source of our suffering. So now, in order to achieve happiness, what do we have to do? We need to work with that. That's the only way. We have to purify that, whether we use the language purification or work with that, all same. We need to work with that. And one of the way or method of working is meditation. So now how do you do that? Openness, first of all. You make you're so open, in fact, in meditation. Even you have like a very compassionate, universal, cosmic love that you want to hug every sentient being in the universe. And then you think, oh, what a great compassion idea. That is also regarded simply as conceptual. Because you get caught into that, you fall into the extreme again. You get into fixation in practice of meditation. Oh, you want to kill every sentient being in the universe, and then again, that again also you are fixated to another conceptual state. So any conceptual state you get fixated is fixated. That's the point in meditation. You need to go beyond fixation of any kind, of any extreme in meditation. So therefore, mind of meditation, there's no preference. Traditional examples are there. If you're bitten by a black dog, and if you're bitten by a white dog, the injury is same. The white dog injury is not going to be sweeter versus the black dog injury. They're both same. If you're chained by iron or you're chained by gold, it's the same. You're in a dungeon chained by gold chain or iron chain, is the same thing. The whole point is to go beyond the extreme of fixation, because our minds get straight away, get sucked into extreme, sucked into fixation. So therefore, since fixation is the fundamental problem, ego built up from fixation, when you do practice of meditation, you just watch the thoughts, because thoughts are a natural process of the mind. You can't stop the thought. Neither you go after the thought, nor you suppress the thought. Because both are extreme. You try to suppress, we know suppress never works. In the history of mankind, communism tried to suppress. There has been revolution. French Revolution, Cuban Revolution, American Revolution. Civil war has been fought in America because of suppression. Try to rise against all the suppression. So any kind of suppression or any kind of fixation are both problem in our mind, including religious fixation. Buddha said, those monks who think, oh, a monk has 253 vows in Buddhist teaching. Celibacy is the main thing, and then many other vows. Any person who thinks I'm superior, that fixation will lead to ego, including a monk. He said it's not the right thing. So we can see in our own life, every day, how many fixations we get into. Those are our source of the first problem. We need first aid for first fixation. And you know what is that first aid? Mindfulness. Mindfulness is your first aid for first fixation. If there is such, is the mindfulness, keeping your awareness all the time. You don't have to disengage with the world, because that wouldn't be the right thing, particularly in the Mahayana teaching. You know, how are you going to practice compassion? How are you going to practice, try to help other being or help yourself if you just disengage? You don't have to disengage. In fact, it is told you have to open up. But it never says you have to get fixated. You have to open up. So this open mind is something very deep, and we need to learn about the flow of our mind, the flow of our awareness. So we see a lot of fixation. Religious puritanical come from fixation. Rushes the, oh, I'm right, you're wrong. Fixation. One doesn't know, one is so confused, but while trying to judge the whole world, you're so confused, you're this, you're that. While oneself is fixated with all the neurosis in the like a brain tumor, but one doesn't see that. We have a lot of problem of that kind in our mind, fixation. We lose true compassion when we fixation. We lose creativity when we have fixation. We build up, what it does build up, a lot of neurosis in our mind. So we need to clear that space because it doesn't belong in your mind, in other words. It's not part of your natural mind. Your natural mind is very open, a basic goodness. And so that's why practice of meditation when you do, all thoughts, regardless, they're good or bad, they're just mere thoughts. Or you can say, oh, this is just conceptual. So when you do that, you breathe out, breathe in, you just focus with the breath. But when thoughts arises, regardless of whatever that spiritual thought or demonic thought, let's say, a good thought, a bad thought, a thought of hunger, a thought of whatever, any kind of thought, I just regard as thoughts. And then they all come and they all liberate. Like an ocean, the waves from the ocean comes from the ocean, it goes back to the ocean, there is no other place. It comes from our mind, it dissolves back into its fundamental ground. The space, the infinite space of the mind. Mind at infinite space. No extreme, beyond all extreme. So you can get to that. And it's so natural. The waves can come, the waves will dissolve, the waves will come. No conflict. It's part of the big ocean. Same thing. And when you learn to bring the awareness utterly open and just simply being, your mind awakens and doesn't get trapped in or into this. It doesn't get sucked into that fixation, no matter what kind of thoughts, what kind of emotion, what kind of thoughts. So then, The whole energy, instead of going into that fixation, it channels into openness. When the mind channels into openness, then wisdom and infinite possibilities of all kinds happens in your mind. That's you can see there is liberation. Definitely mind is the potential for liberation. Mind is not something which can just simply be stuck and so small in a fixated state. You can see that and you can experience that when you do meditation, as you keep doing. You need to do this every day, because our mind right now is caught up like living in a cocoon, and we need to, like that artichoke, we need to strip up all your habits of the past, all fixation, everything. In fact, everything you have to let go. If you want to see a true human being, perhaps we have to get naked. Yeah, that wouldn't be the right thing, but of course, then you really see another human being in its natural state. Something like that. Right now we dressed up, oh, that's Tibetan dress, this is Western dress. We have a lot of labels. But as a human being, if you, like that, there's a natural flow of the mind. And the natural flow of the mind is wisdom and compassion. Now, what does wisdom means? Not being trapped, not being fixated. That's the power of that awareness. And compassion, the expression of that seeing awaken. Now, you see, when the wisdom comes, naturally infinite skillful mean comes of that nature. When the ego comes, infinite possibility of afflictive emotion comes. Now, shouldn't you get rid of your afflictive emotion? Of course, we all want to get rid of that. That's the source of our confusion. That's the source of our problem. Nobody else. Nobody else is giving us any hard time. It's all our own problem, our own mental confusion that we need to sort it out. So we can't blame anybody. We need to solve this problem. Only your mind problem, your mind is the answer to that, not other people or not material. I use this example a number of times. His Holiness Dalai Lama says, mental problem has to deal with the mind itself. The answer is in the mind, not material. If the material has the answer, a lady who wears like 10 carats diamond ring, if she has mental suffering, licks the diamond, is going to help her? It's not going to do anything. Maybe cut your tongue. So therefore, you see, mind problem is a confusion. Who is more powerful? Clarity? Wisdom? Intelligence? Is that more powerful? Or your ego is more powerful? So far, seems ego is powerful. So far, ego has maintained us with all this afflictive emotion. We are stuck here. It's successful in doing that. And you've been complaining every day. And here you are. I'm not saying that to you particularly. But here we are, pathetically, in some way, really. We complain, everything is happening in life, this problem. We complain. And here we're stuck and left. That's a pretty sad situation. We need to wake up. Why surrender to some kind of ignorant mind? You have that. You have the wisdom nature inside. You have the basic goodness. So, to do that, you need determination, you need the practice of meditation, and you need the right, mindset of Bodhisattva. That's very important. Then possibility is there, because those qualities are within you. So, shall we do a meditation now? Let's do a meditation. Sit in a comfortable posture. Your shoulders should not be up tight, nor pushing down, just totally natural. And your chin shouldn't look up, nor bending down, just straight. Your eyes slightly gaze towards the tip of your nose, very gentle, like open, free, like in front of you. And then once you do that, now you tell in your mind first, either you're sitting on a chair or you're sitting on a zafutan meditation cushion. On the zafu is my body. In my body is my mind. And mind, relax now. Don't hold on anything, just totally drop it. Drop your mind, relax. And then you go to breathing. You just be with the breath, gently, no hard penetration. Gently be with the breath. In fact, you're breathing, without breath, you will be dead. So it's a natural breath. You just be with the breath. And then suddenly a thought will arise. Any kind of thought, whatever thought comes in your mind. And when the thought arises, see the thought as a thought and let go. And just be there. And even you have some really, profound experience of joy suddenly arising, your mind opening up. Again, don't cling to that. Just again see that. Neither you suppress that, but no, you want to go after that. All thoughts, good or bad, that's the same method in practice of meditation, like that. Now, obstacle of meditation, getting drowsy, sleepy, then of course you lose your perspective of meditation. That's wrong. So when you get sleepy, you need to shake up in your home, you can shake up your shoulders like this, open the window, and alert, make your mind more alert, and then just remain that way. And sometimes if the mind is too many thoughts coming, because not every day your experience will be the same. It's like sometimes too many thoughts coming, then you get overwhelmed. And to deal with that, sometimes you allow give even bigger space for the thought. It's like saying, come on, come more. If you allow it, it's nothing to do. It will just dissolve. But if you try to resist, it will get even stronger. So different methods you need to use in practice of meditation. But mainly, sit and watch your mind open and not go after thoughts. Because you go after thoughts, same back to old mind, wandering mind, distracting mind. In the past, present, future thoughts, you will be distracted into those. And with that, since your mind is so used to habit and fixation, all the afflictive emotion will arise at the same time. So therefore, you don't want to get back into the old habit of mind that. So, let's do meditation now. There's an example. Let's suppose you walk on the beach, and if you stir up the water, it will get muddy. That's our way of trying to solve things day to day. Stir up. And then it gets muddy. You can't see anything clear. Now, how do you do to settle that muddy water? You don't do anything. You just let it be natural. All the sand will flow down and the clear water will shine. Then you can see fish and pebbles and everything. Likewise, when you let the mind natural, it brings its own pristine awareness. So meditate in that way. So here we will have now some discussion, questions. If you have any question, we can have a question and answer period.
Good evening, Rinpoche. So, I'll share a little bit about something I'm struggling with, which is at work. I'm having some difficulties with my boss at work. She's a little bit of what we would call here a micromanager. Are you familiar with that term, micromanager?
Marcus, sounds very small detail, huh?
Yes.
She goes into every detail.
Yes. And
okay. Micro. Okay.
Rather than giving space for one to breathe and do whatever the task is that's given.
Yes.
Checking in.
Yes.
And so I just struggle with that, and even today she accused me of something that was just completely untrue based on my body language. She read my mind, so to speak, and she got it completely wrong. And I got a little bit defensive, which didn't help, but I mean, she was accusing me of something that I thought was pretty serious, with no basis. So so I guess my question is, how do I work with that? How do I work with my feelings towards her being a difficult person, I suppose?
I don't know. Yeah. Patience. Seriously. You know, if you judge right on the instant, then you could have a serious conflict. But maybe you can explain, you know, if you think that she's wrong, then explain in a way that she can gradually understand, maybe at the right time. Maybe not tomorrow, for sure. I wouldn't recommend you do that tomorrow. So, we face this kind of situation every day, you see, in our life. But I guess patience will serve on the long run, because if you intend to stay in this business and she's your boss, then you have to work with her. You have no other choice. And sometimes she's wrong, but you have to be patient or you have to swallow that. But doesn't mean that you have to suppress that. At some point you can explain to her when the right time comes. And then that's how two-person communication, I think, extremely important. At the right time, not at the wrong time. So patience helps. So your patience will lead you when you have a patient. When is the right time, I think. So something like that. Yeah.
I just wanted to say that I've been that boss, and your advice is exactly right.
Oh.
I've been that way.
Oh, okay.
So I think your advice is good.
Yeah. Patience helps, you see. Even you think you've been misjudged, and for the time being things are like that, but at some point, he or she also have a mind. And they begin to see, reflect, especially if you don't react right away. Your reaction will be too clash. But if you step back and allow it, they also, at some point, if they start doing few times, at some point they're also going to see that. Maybe this is not the right way I'm doing things. Silence sometimes is more powerful. Patience and silence more powerful than sometimes reacting right away. I think in American society, instant reaction is part of, a habit, I think, generally. And there are many reasons to that. I don't think, anyone who lives in America, we go through a lot of stress every day. So much speed is there. Our life is surrounded by speed. So therefore, our patience get very thin. Just instant reaction. I mean, so I see a lot of aggression. In workplace, you go to the airport, they yell at you. One time I was in Los Angeles in the men's room, and the person was cleaning and he yelled at me. So there's a lot of aggression there. So, of course, you fight back. What's the point? There's a saying in Tibetan, you act like that, yourself become crazy. So sometimes you step back, and especially in a sensitive situation, in a working situation, which is in this case, then you have to be very skillful how to deal with that. Patience still will help. Always patience help. Yeah. I don't know what else to say. Yeah. Yes? Jimmy? Oh, okay. Yes, sorry.
Rinpoche, last week you spoke about the need to do investigative meditation as opposed to the calm and abiding shamatha meditation. And I'd like to hear some more about that. What are we investigating?
That's a good question. Seriously, it's a good question. You do?
Thank you.
Then you understood.
Even a blind squirrel finds some nuts.
Tonight, I don't want to mention much on that because that level of teaching is not just to everyone. That day I explain. But right now, the practice of meditation, shamatha meditation, calm abiding, which we did today, it's once your mind is calm, you will be able to handle all storms happening in your life. The example is shamatha meditation is like a candle, and above candle there is a glass, and then the flame will not put off, no matter how much strong wind is. Same thing, once you develop calm abiding state, you will not be affected if someone says something bad to you right away, or whatever adverse serious situation happens. You become very calm because your mind is very calm, and you will be able to pass through that, cross through that. So that's what we did tonight. Now when you go further deeper into investigating what's the nature of the mind, then it goes one step further deeper. So I think you can listen to the tapes in the future about those things, that particular meditation.
Rinpoche, this may be too large of a subject to address here, but there's a line in the longevity prayer for Chhoje Rinpoche, and it says, raising the victory banner of study and practice amidst this time of degeneration. And every time I say that prayer, that time of degeneration, gives me pause, and I wonder if you could say something about this time of degeneration.
Time of degeneration, where we can say degeneration, you know, degeneration really basically means a very strong afflictive emotion, very neurotic mind, speed, aggression. That's what degeneration is about. That's what we see today. Look at our movies. Example, clear example. So much aggression. Not only there is aggression, killing, but there's speed. Not only there is speed, it's so fast speed that you know, hard to catch up everything. You look at cowboy movies, 1970s. Clint Eastwood come, shoot, and there's talking and slow. Everything happens. Today, no time to talk. That is degeneration. Something like that. So the speed, tremendous aggression, that is the real degeneration. And everything comes with it. Every other neurosis comes with it. There's no gap. I think the way to look at speed with tremendous aggression, no gap. That's what degeneration means. With Clint Eastwood, at least he has some gap. Yes.
Good evening. I have a question about emotions. I am from Colombia. I'm the only one here. I don't have family members here. And there's struggle back home.
Excuse me?
Oh, sorry. There's a lot of struggle back home with my family, and I'm really far away, and I would like to learn how to deal with that.
Could you repeat that? I didn't hear you.
I'm sorry.
Sorry.
Do you hear me now?
Yes, yes.
Yes, okay. I would like to learn how to deal with my emotions. I don't have family here, and things are going bad. I'm sorry.
Okay. You can always come here. Thursday we have meditation. We have Sunday meditation. And you can just come and sit. Because this place is for people to... We are so fortunate that we have this place for every one of you, whoever comes here, for you to sit and look at yourself and work with your mind. So you're most welcome to come. Whether I'm here or whether I'm not here, other people will be here. You can sit, have discussion with other people. And there are a lot of books to read today. Now we have a library downstairs. Soon once that library, then there are books and other things, discussions and things will go. So that's the way to learn. And the main method is tonight the meditation I taught. You do that. You know, the perspective of how to work with the mind. And then you will, once you handle that meditation, you will handle all fixation, all emotion thing. One method for all. Yes. Genevieve?
To the young lady, I just want to share that you're not the only one in this group from Latin America. Yo soy de Panamá. And that likewise, you're not the only. Just know that you're not, I don't know what your personal struggles are, but just know that you're not the only one who's in Denver, far away from their families. So
I'm also far away from my Tibet country. I come across the ocean. At least Latin America and North America are connected. And I'm very happy here. For me, anyone, who we share the same perspective, same goal. That's I really feel like my family. Anyone who is engaging in some really negative activity, I also feel, have to help them. I never feel like they are alien in some way. However, it's much easier when you share the same thing, it's much easier. But that doesn't mean that when there are people who are really confused and a lot of problem. In fact, I think other day when we have the book reading, in that, and in the Bodhisattva teaching, it says, you need to separate the negative action of a person and the person. Because if you identify the negative action of a person, that person as such, then you have a lot of problem. But you see the individual and his confusion as two different things. When you see that his whole action or her action is trying to gain happiness, but in the wrong way, they are confused. You can see so clearly that you really feel engaging to them. You will reach out to them. And you will find a way how to help them. But if you mix these two things, the person and their emotions, neurosis, whatever, then you will have problem trying to connect to them. So you need to separate the person and person neurosis. Then you will be able to help them. Thank you. Please distribute the World Peace Prayer. In the world in general, and in this nation, may not even the names disease, famine, war, and suffering be heard. May virtues, qualities, and merit and prosperity greatly increase, and may continuous good fortune and sublime well-being perfectly rises. In the world in general, and in this nation, may not even the names disease, famine, war, and suffering be heard. May virtues, qualities, and merit and prosperity greatly increase, and may continuous good fortune and sublime well-being perfectly rises. In the world in general, and in this nation, may not even the names disease, famine, war, and suffering be heard. May virtuous qualities and merit and prosperity greatly increase, and may continuous good fortune and sublime well-being perfectly rise. By this merit, may all beings gain omniscience. Thus, thank you.
Thank you so much, Rinpoche, for teaching. So Rinpoche has a couple more teachings on the schedule. Tomorrow evening, he'll be teaching at 7. He's actually doing a 2-part teaching tomorrow evening and Saturday from 10 to noon on bodhicitta and the bodhisattva path, so the path of compassion. And then Saturday evening, Rinpoche is preparing food actually for us for a Sangha dinner. He's invited us here for a dinner with the Sangha that I believe is at 4. Um, so. Well, either way, please join us for festivities. Yeah.